This week on Vikings, Bjorn and his family of sister wives continue to struggle as the season continues to beat them up. Ivar leads his army into the battle we've all been waiting for at a price that none of us wanted to pay. Maybe. I'm Mr. Hanson, and this is Spoiler Alert. This episode started off with Bjorn and company arriving at the capital to join up with Finehair's army to stand as a united front against Ivar's invading force. Bjorn led the initiative of setting up defenses, doing his best to spread a small army across the vast land, all while trying to think like Ivar so he can try to anticipate where and how Ivar will attack. Ingrid and Gunhild both stepped up to help in building in the defenses, but much like their husband Bjorn, both women would end up taking L's in this episode before the war even begins. Gunhild, who's far along in her pregnancy, would not let that stop her from defending Norway in its time of need. This dedication to her country would come at a hefty price. While building defenses, she is struck with a sharp pain in her stomach and she falls off the dock and into the water below. Eric sees this and rushes in to help. When Eric gets her out of the water, she is seen holding her stomach and crying out. She had lost her child before he could even be born. A devastating blow to Gunhild, Bjorn, and Ingrid. The three had an emotional moment together where for once they weren't bickering at each other, but standing as a united family in this tragic moment. Gunhild takes the child to be buried and says her goodbyes. It was a rough moment, and I'm sure it shook the hearts of a lot of people watching. But Gunhild is a queen. Even Finehair said so.
Queen Gunhild.
See? And like a good queen, she pushes back the pain and returns to preparations. Bjorn's other wife, Ingrid, was also having a tough day before the war even started, when all she was doing was trying to help defend Norway until she was approached by Finehair, who seems to forget that there's a war at hand and all he wants to do is try to figure out why everyone loves Bjorn so much and not him. Harold goes on to suggest that Ingrid should leave Bjorn and marry him and become queen of all Norway, despite the fact that he has never ever met this woman. He only wants her because Bjorn has her, and Finehair will do anything to be more like Bjorn. Ingrid stands tall and dismisses Finehair's advances and stays loyal to Bjorn. Unfortunately, this will not be the last time Ingrid has to deal with Finehair's advances. Harold has Ingrid brought to his quarters, where he once again tries to convince Ingrid to leave Bjorn for him, or at least have an affair with him. Ingrid stands her ground still, but this time Harold does not let her just walk away. He attacked her. She put up a good fight, but he was much stronger than her, and he overpowered her, and then he forced himself upon her. Alright, and that's it for me and King Finehair. I'm done with him. I've given him the benefit of the doubt for as long as I could, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I know a lot of people gave up on him last season because they didn't like the way that he was treating Bjorn, but I didn't like the way Bjorn was acting either, so, I called it a wash. And even this season, when Harold was doing all this stupid stuff, I was still convinced that maybe there was like this Floki Ragnar thing where they're, just pretending like they're mad at each other to achieve a bigger goal. And I was hoping that was the case. And even if it is still the case, I don't care. He raped that girl. That was terrible. I'm done with him. It's over for King Harold. And, this whole like trying to be Bjorn thing is just getting stupid. The whole time this guy's ambition was to be king of all Norway. And once he achieves that, he's still not happy because he's not going to be happy until he can somehow be reborn as a son of Ragnar and become Bjorn, and he can't do that, so he'll never be happy. So forget him. I don't care. I believe that he might actually be dead, but if he's not, he can die 1,000 more times and it will have no effect on me. I don't care. I'm out with you, Harold. You suck. Ivar also had his own pre-battle weirdness. He was summoned by Princess Katya, where the princess would go on to seduce Ivar. Well, as much as Ivar can be seduced, I guess. It felt like this came out of nowhere, and I didn't fully understand why that had just happened. I mean, Katya did go on to later tell Ivar that she actually is against Oleg and was actually working for Prince Dur. So she is a Russian spy. Anyways, that was weird. It felt like it was from left field, but okay, it happened. So I guess we'll see how that plays out next half of the season. Moving on. As the battle is about to begin, and throughout the battle, we get these metaphorical cutscenes of Ivar and Bjorn on a beach, at first alone and then surrounded by dead bodies. The two sit on this beach going back and forth at each other. Bjorn trying to convince Ivar that he's not as important as he thinks he is, and Ivar trying to convince Bjorn that the gods are no longer with him and he cannot win this war. The number of dead bodies surrounding them grow as the battle rages on. Meanwhile, in the real world, a large portion of Ivar's army storms the beaches leading to the capital. And when I say stormed, I mean exactly like the iconic scene from Saving Private Ryan when they reenacted the American troops storming the beaches of Normandy. It was awesome. I thought the crew on Vikings did a great job paying homage to a great moment in film and American history. I was pleased to see King Finehair on the front lines fighting with his men right on the beach. It in no way forgives his earlier actions, and he can still go kill himself for all I care, but I will say he is a great warrior and he is no coward when it comes to battle. So it was only fitting that Harold would meet his death on this battlefield, or at least so they say. They would have us think. Who knows if he actually died? This show has proven over and over you can never trust a death scene. But for the sake of argument and point that was being made, Finehair is dead. That's what the show wants me to believe. In his final words, he wished Eric well in his own kind of way, I guess. Anyways, Eric picks up Harold's crown and runs back into the battle. And that's the last we see of Eric and Finehair. Harold dead on the ground, and Eric running off with the crown, presumably to give it to Bjorn. Okay, like I said, that whole scene with Katya and Ivar, that was really weird. Obviously, it's like laying some foundation for something that's going to happen next season, and that's cool. Interesting to see how that plays out. But it just seemed like a really weird scene. And you know what? There was another weird scene there where Vitzer and Ivar had this conversation with each other, and Vitzer was saying like some weird things, and then like Ivar was like looking at him like, wait, did you just become the crazy one? Am I still the crazy one? I think you're the crazy one. So I don't know what it all meant, but I think Victor might be the crazy one now. So we'll have to check that out. And then Harold. I mean, we already talked about Harold, so I'm actually gonna go in a kind of a different direction here. Um, and I'm gonna go with the writing of Harold. I don't appreciate what they did here. They took a fan favorite, and in a short span, they turned him into the complete enemy, like really, really quick. And it reminds me, this has happened before, but I can't quite. Oh, that one. Yeah, same kind of thing where you have a fan favorite that people like and they're actually kind of rooting for them, and then all of a sudden they decide, nah, we're gonna make this character terrible and we're gonna make you terrible for ever rooting for them. And that sucked because Harold's pretty dope. He was pretty dope. Now he's just a joke, and I hope that he chokes. You didn't know I was a rapper too. All right. Okay, I won't do that again. My bad. Anyways, back to it. It is really cool to see Ivar back to like in his position, because if you look at Ivar, he's kind of got different stages to him. You know what I'm saying? When he's learning, when he's interested in something and he wants to learn about it, he's quiet, he's reserved, he sits back and he just takes it all in. And when he's bored, he's dangerous and does some wild and crazy things, and it's basically just his boredom that gets to him. But when he is strategizing a plan of attack and preparing for battle and leading troops into battle, that is when he is in his element. And it is great to see him back in his element because he is doing it like he always has. He is killing it right now. So, it's nice to see Ivar doing that. And it sucks who he's doing it against, but I like seeing Ivar, in Ivar's element. I guess that makes sense. The last part of this episode was a bit strange, and to be honest, it wasn't my favorite. But let's talk about it. We saw Ivar and Oleg planning to hit another part of the city, but it was the kid Prince Igor who suggested taking on the impossible route. As Ivar explained to him that it was the impossible route, he realized it was perfect. Ivar and Igor had a moment where Ivar looks down at Igor like a proud father. These two are super close, so it makes me fear for Igor the rest of the show because it's going to be sad for Ivar when Igor dies. Ivar explains that they will climb up the mountainside and attack the unsuspecting city, similar to the way that Ragnar attacked Paris. Well, tried to attack Paris at least. And like most of Ivar's plans, it worked. we don't get too much more of a battle from here. A few sword fights and a random Bjorn stabbing that I don't know if it was supposed to be convincing us that Bjorn had died or if it was just showing us metaphorically that Ivar had defeated Bjorn in this battle. Anyways, we get robbed of watching Ivar fights this whole season, and then all of a sudden we just get a cutscene of him and Oleg celebrating their victory. I really wanted to see more, and I'm still holding out hope that we will get some flashbacks of what actually happened. We don't know what happened to everyone else, like Gunhild, Ingrid, Eric, or Olaf, but from what we can see, Ivar and Oleg won this battle. And if Oleg is true to his word, then that means that Ivar is now king. So, hell, King Ivar, I guess. For now, we'll see what happens. Okay, I think it's pretty safe to say that Bjorn is not actually dead. I don't know if it was supposed to be metaphorical or if he just actually survives the stabbing. I don't know which one it's going to be, but he's not dead. And I don't even really think that the show creators are trying to convince us that he is dead, because everybody knows they play that clip, of next episode for for the second half of the season, and he goes, "I told you couldn't kill him," and he goes, "This is impossible." That I'll show it right here. You'll see it. And I'll put the captions on so you can see what they're saying. And not only did they showed this before the end credits even rolled for the episode, which means they wanted you to see this. They wanted you to see this. They didn't want you to turn off your TVs yet. So to me, it almost looks like they're like not even trying to get away with saying that Bjorn actually died. So that being said, I think it's safe to say Bjorn's still alive. I mean, and if he is dead and they gave him a weak ass 3 second kill shot, that is stupid, and I will be upset about it. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to happen in film. Again, that happened. That happened. Okay, so anyways, I'm sure Bjorn's still alive. As far as fine hair, I don't know. Like I said, I don't care. So whether he's dead or alive, that's fine. I am interested in what happened to Gunhild and Ingrid and Olaf, and what's up with Eric. Was Eric going to try and make himself a king, Skorgomor the king? That'd be a pretty dope story. I don't know. I'd watch. Anyways, thanks for checking it out. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you everyone for coming out. If you want to, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If not, that's cool too. Thanks for coming by at least, and maybe we'll catch you next time. So, Season 6, Episode 10, Vikings, you've officially been spoiled. So, until next time, Skål.